This is part 2 of my interview with Dr. Elaine Ruiz López. Hopefully you'll get some perspective of her thorough all-around experience as an educator, an author, and advocate for children where their English is not the first language. Enjoy, and we'll see you back soon. Thank you. Let's go back and tell us the situation. Oftentimes when people came from Puerto Rico, they would come over, and because they didn't speak English, they would be left behind in school. Because I have friends who attended high school with me who were left back because they couldn't speak English. So instead of them emphasizing, assisting them, they would say, oh, well, they can't pass this test because they don't speak English. So they would be left back a grade, in some cases, more than 1 or 2 grades. Okay.
Absolutely.
You explain that a little bit about what that's about, or what that was about?
Well, that was about tracking. That was about institutionalized systemic racism and failure and mass numbers, and in fact, not only were Puerto Ricans who were newcomers to New York City. In this context, it would be New York City. They were also being stigmatized and being tested and disproportionately placed in special education classrooms, right? So it was, it was a horrific, approach to the education of Puerto Rican children. And Antonia Pantoja and Dr. Evelina Antonetti both fought very hard to change the not only the understanding and the awareness, but the obligation of those in power, and to make sure that they understood that now it was a legal right and entitlement.
For them to
It was also very important to understand that a lot of these causes that were being fought for, such as, the fight for bilingual education, the fight for, the federal laws, Lau versus Nichols, and all, that rode on the coattails of Brown versus Board of Education, that all of this was being fought in the context of education as a civil right.
Yes. Everyone
Right? You know this because I've read some of your work, and it makes reference to that as well. It also, this whole, fight also gave rise to, the African American community, Ocean Hill, Brownsville.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Brownsville.
This gave rise to, I'm sure that you read the strike that changed New York. Right. And and that was all about, the fact that, there were parents and community leaders in the late 60s who had it with the failure to implement quality programs
In their schools.
for African American and Latino children. So these initiatives, allowed, for many changes within the school system, right? And so their fight and their experiences greatly influenced my professional life, and and in support of multilingual education, multicultural education, and supporting and fighting for the policies that protect children whose first language is not English in the school system. And so today, now we see that there are greater numbers of second language learners.
Yes.
And students with disabilities who, it's no longer viewed as a stigma. In most places, it's no longer viewed as a stigma to speak language, to come to school and not understanding a word of English.
Right.
And is actually, it was the case, but is actually against the law. I mean, there were still some school districts throughout the country. Oh, and in Queens, New York in '70s, I remember getting on, you know, buses loaded with parents and community leaders to support the South American parents in District 24 in Queens, where their children, where they were not implementing bilingual education programs. They were refusing to follow the law and provide these services. And there was some places where, throughout, it sounds outrageous, but where, you know, they were charging, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, charging students a quarter every time they spoke a word of Spanish.
Right. So that
And
ties in with your, talking about the partnership with the parents, how you work together to support children's education and success. So you're saying that you got involved with, parents and so forth and so on, and you saw what happened in Ocean Hill, Brownsville. You saw what happened in Queens. And much of this has to do with parents then getting more engaged. Now, that wasn't necessarily the case in the 50s per se. But what do you think made the difference come the 60s, mid 60s, and so forth and so on for parents and your involvement with that in terms of being engaged and making sure that students who did not speak English as their first language had the right to be able to have services and also be able to not be left back in school because they don't speak English.
right. Well, once again, I want to take it back to the civil rights movement, because all of this was happening
Okay.
at the height of the civil rights movement,
Okay.
right? At Ocean Hill, Brownsville
right.
took place at the height of
That's right.
the civil rights movement. Then you have the Young Lords Party,
Yep.
right?
Coming out of
And then you have the Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
So all of these, all this activism, all of all of these acts of resistance were, served as underpinnings, right? The strike in Ocean Hill,
That's right.
all of this served as underpinnings to now allow for a new generation of parents and activists who had these concerns, um, around the education of Puerto Rican children, right? To come forward and fight their fight on their behalf, right? So it was, the timing was ideal. I wouldn't want to say it was perfect, but the
Right,
timing was
right.
ideal, right?
Right.
Next week, I attend the New York State Association for Bilingual Education's conference in about 2 weeks, and they're celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable.
Their 50th anniversary.
Yeah,
And this is a statewide organization of principals, administrators, teachers, and parents, and researchers, authors, that all advocate for bilingual education. And they've been advocating for bilingual education since the implementation of the landmark case, the ASPIRA consent decree.
Right.
And I'm presenting at a workshop there, and I'm receiving a recognition there that I'm very proud of.
Well deserved. Well
I'm actually receiving, I was last week that I was nominated to receive the award, the Dr. Antonia Pantoja Bilingual Education Advocacy Award,
Oh my gosh, that's
which is, I
fantastic.
mean, such a
That's
great
yes,
honor.
yes,
And
that's for her.
it's
Yes.
just, it's a 360 moment for me.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. So that leads us to what you've been doing in terms of being the CEO for the International Leadership Charter High School. Tell us about the efforts and challenges you had in getting that established and where it is at this stage.
Well, so thank you for asking that question. So, in 2000, and between 2004 and 2006, I submitted applications to be considered by the New York State Education Department. And at that time, the New York City Department of Education, under the leadership of, of Joel Klein during the time when the mayor of the city of New York was Michael Bloomberg. And there was a process, I learned that there was a process to establish, you know, independent and autonomous charter schools. And so I joined I led a team of individuals that worked with me, including, my husband, Tony Lopez, who also was the former executive director of ASPIRA, and
Oh,
who
really?
and
Oh,
then
okay.
became yeah, and then he later became the vice president for I believe leadership um, at the New York City Charter Center. The New York City Charter Center is a place near Wall Street where charter school aspiring charter school operators were given an incubation space
Right.
to create their models and design their charter schools until they were open. So it was, I, I s- it was a massive amount of work, a massive amount of documents and interviews over a period of 2.5 years. Um, my proposal was rejected at least 3 times. We actually had to fight and advocate and lobby so that, our charter school would be considered the International Leadership Charter High School, who then later in 2006 became, the first charter high school in the Bronx. So our charter school is what we refer to as a community grown charter school. It's not part of it's not um, at all like the large network schools like the KIPS, Achievement First,
Right,
Uncommon
right,
Schools,
right.
what have you. We're a standalone, independent, autonomous with a board of trustees, and our authorizer is thankfully is currently the State University of New York Charter Schools Institute. So we were established in 2006. We're actually celebrating our 20-year anniversary gala in May.
Okay.
And you know, we have um, been very fortunate that, as a result of our hard work and the support of the parents in the community, because again, the lessons that I learned in the 80s and 90s, and the
Yeah,
early 2000s is that it is the parent community
that's right.
that is your foundation.
Right.
If you want to do anything in education,
Mhm.
you have to have the input from parents. You have to have the support of parents. You have to um, credibly, uh, you know, uh, demonstrate to parents that, their choice to send their children to your charter school is a good choice. So we, charter schools are,
So you advocated, you made sure you were able to advocate your issues and needs for this school to the parent population, correct?
yes, because charter schools, historically have outperformed New York City public schools and are outperforming in some cases the state,
Yes.
New York State Education Department. When, excuse me, when we established the school in 2006, um, the graduation rate in the Bronx was probably about 47%.
Mhm, mhm.
And a lot of the comprehensive high schools were closing due to safety issues. There was gang violence going on inside the schools. And in some cases, unfortunately, that's still
Not much has changed
happening.
in some
Not
places.
as
Yeah.
well. Things have changed, but it's you still have those schools that are persistently violent, right?
Yes.
They
Yes.
could get on that list. So my goal was to open up a school environment that was uh, small, personalized, and safe for children of color in the
That's important.
Bronx, in the Northwest Bronx, and to a community that had high expectations for all young people. Because, my philosophy is that no one rises to low expectations, right? So, and with that philosophy and very careful selection of teachers and the ability to write and deliver our own curriculum, right? And having the flexibility to have an extended day, and to have Saturday academies. Um, our school has a 95% average graduation rate
Absolutely wonderful.
and a
Wonderful.
very high pass rate on all of the New York State Regents exams, although the New York State Education Department has now decided that
They
the
don't.
Regents exams are
Right.
no longer necessary.
Right. Exactly.
But that's another issue. But more importantly, 100% of our young people who graduate um, and apply to college, 100% of them get accepted to multiple colleges.
Absolutely fantastic.
So, every college decision day in May it's a celebration. Every graduation is a huge celebration. And so we now, we could say we have, wow, 16 going on 17 graduating classes. And and I write about this in my book in terms of my legacy, right? I believe my legacy will be felt and demonstrated through the alumni. So I also have a vision for the alumni to come back to the
That's the next
school.
step. Yep. That's it.
We already have about 5 alumni that are working for the school,
Oh, really?
either as a teacher in operations, as we have a counselor that's an alumni. So we are still connected to the school community and to our alumni. And our alumni, they come back and they tell us, they share with us, right, all these great stories. So in my book, I also dedicate I think one of the final chapters to the alumni who's
Right.
who
They shows the
yeah,
testimony.
they wrote about very eloquently. They wrote these Dear Dr. Lopez letters that were included in their yearbooks.
Okay.
So I highlight some of those,
Okay.
and I'm keeping in touch with a significant group of alumni. You know,
Do you have a organization for alumni?
we don't have an organization for alumni because, again, I'm the chief executive officer and we still have to make sure that things go well
Okay.
at the high school because we also expanded down to a middle school. So now we have grades 6 through 12.
To 12. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
And
I
we're,
want you to put people. So you said north. What part of the Bronx? Please tell us the area because people don't all know this.
yes. So we're located in the Kingsbridge Riverdale section of the Bronx. It's the lower Riverdale section. It's not the section of Riverdale where all the mansions are, but it's the Kingsbridge Riverdale section of the Bronx. It's the northwestern region
Okay.
of the Bronx.
Okay.
And
So,
it's
so
not,
everybody who doesn't know what the Bronx is, it's another borough of Manhattan. It's Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. There's 5 boroughs in New York City. So the Bronx is one of them. Because I have to explain to the audience so they know the territories. Not everybody's who's listening is familiar with New York City. And I want to make sure they knew where your school was located and the population of students
yes.
from in that area still come. Now, is there a boundary in terms of where students can come from?
No, there is not. But most of our scholars are coming to us from the Bronx. They are predominantly Latino of Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, South American heritage. We have a large population of West African students who have found their way to our school over the last 20 years,
Okay.
as well as African American students. So we have a very large immigrant in some cases, first and second generation immigrant community of scholars attending our school. So, and we, again, it was our goal and my vision to ensure that we had a culturally responsive curriculum that respected all culture, all languages, and that we would be truly international in our vision and how we treat each other with, with respect. And where we, like yesterday, there was like this amazing presentation, our scholars presenting alongside with their teachers on Black History Month. It was, and we've done this for years where, there's a gallery walk, a Black History gallery walk. And, under the guidance of their history and English teachers, they're doing research and then they select topics that they want to present on. And yesterday was an amazing, another amazing demonstration of the power of education and the power of teaching young people critical thinking.
Important.
Right. And I mean, we had, these young people are like, well, 14, 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, and they're presenting on the Black Panther Party. They're presenting on Dr. Martin Luther King's Why We Can't Wait and the significance of that book. Speaking about Madam C.J. Walker and who was the first, Black millionaire, Black female millionaire.
Who lived in Westchester County.
Yes, yes. And, so, and it's very, it was very satisfying and heartwarming, right? To hear these young people speaking about individuals that that they weren't alive. These children, young people that were not even born.
Right.
But speaking about Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and writing. Oh, there was something that was really, I mean, it just blew me away. A presentation on the transatlantic slave trade.
Oh, really?
So this is the level of discourse and the level of knowledge and teaching that takes place at our charter school.
That's
But
great.
I'm most proud of the graduation rate and the type of human beings that we're developing.
Wow, 100%.
Because they're going into their charge. And I also write about this in my book. I know I'm shamelessly plugging my book.
Everybody has to get this book. Everybody has to get this book. So I think this is one. I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but I want people to know the fight for equity in the Bronx is you've got to purchase this book. I'm going to get my autographed copy as we speak. So hopefully I'll get one soon.
Yes.
And I just want to thank you, Dr. Ruiz López, for this honor to have you on the podcast to talk about your life experience and the way in which you're still, even now, growing and developing and enhancing generations after you to prepare them for what they need to have to be able to not only to exist, but to thrive in our society. Okay. And of course, it had to be in New York City because most of my topics deal with things that happen in New York City and the North and the Midwest. And it's good to people know that you exist and how you had to have this fight to be where you are today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just want to add that, it was an honor in October. I was presented with 3 medals at the International Latino Book Awards.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes, it was selected. It was, the ceremony was in San Diego, and I earned 3 medals in 3 different categories. One
Can you
was
tell us a
for
category?
most inspirational memoir. The second category was the best book in Latino ethnic studies. And the third category was the most transformational book.
Yeah. Mm.
So that's you could read about it further on my book's website. My book's website is basically my name, www.drelaineruizlopez.com. And
Well,
the books has
we'll provide that to the audience. Make sure they have that.
yes,
Um,
absolutely,
so they get that.
absolutely.
Everybody check out when you check out my YouTube. I'll have that information under there so that you can see how to contact her, know more of the book, and then you'll hear about all these wonderful awards the book has. And make sure you get your copy of the book, folks. Okay, The Fight for Equity in the Bronx. Um, and I just am so honored. In a time, it's a memoir, but of course, it's well written and it has a lot to say about the history that you need to know about. That people say, "Oh, we don't have any history." Well, now you have the history. So, and it's coming from the source. So I thank you so much for spending this time with us, and we look forward to connecting soon. Correct?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And thank you for this opportunity. I thoroughly enjoyed your questions and having this dialogue with you.
I want to share I think that's important that we share, and people don't understand. You have to share and get this info, and because history and knowledge is so important. Because people think it just happened yesterday. No, this was a fight that came up, and you were part of this. You were part of the beginning. So I think we should applaud you for all you've done and what you're continuing to do, and looking forward to what you're doing now more in the future. So thank you so much for being here. And so we'll just end today. And so thank you everybody for being able to listen and to this podcast and participating and supporting the channel. And we'll see you next time in another episode of the Still Stocking Sisters podcast. Have a good day, everybody.